G'day, guys, and welcome to Warrior by Design. Here I am, Benjamin John, the host. As always, I said we're going to get some people on here, people that have been able to get out there and do it and know their stuff and, living the life that some of us, may want or may see as even potentially unachievable, right? So I've got with me today, I've got Cato, who basically come from a journey of, being there with from a psychedelic trip, leading him down a path of sort of depression, anxiety, and a complete detachment from himself, right? From knowing, from his personal self and, knowing where he was, to 3 years later, he was actually running two businesses and coaching a range of clients between 15 to 60. Cato embodies that is truly, means to keep going, right? He's obviously got an endurance and, resilience within himself to be able to move through some of the stuff he's gone through, right? Now Cato focuses on helping more people start their self-development journey and then raising their lives of consciousness so that they too can make decisions and are truly authentic to who they are and to themselves, right? So thank you, Cato. Thanks for coming here, mate, and really appreciate having you on. And can you tell the guests a little bit, give them a little bit more of a heads up about yourself and how you come to these sort of realizations for yourself?
Yeah, dude, thank you so much. That's a sick introduction. Yeah, so like Benjamin said, I'm on a massive self-development journey. And it's had its challenges, had its times, but that's the part of the stuff that makes you good. That's the part of the stuff that makes everything interesting and keeps you where you're at. So, I'm 22 years old. I have had a whole wealth of experience in my short amount of time span, and I'm very, very confident in what I bring to people and what I bring to everyone in and around my life and the businesses that I run. And if I was to say, the biggest thing right now that I focus on every single day is 100% responsibility and 100% accountability. And the thing that I go by most to make sure that I do that is perception is projection. And that is something that I live by, and it's going to be a tattoo that I have on myself very shortly. And I'd love to explain that, Benjamin.
Yeah, go for it, brother, please.
Yeah, bro. So perception is projection is something that I learned probably about 3 years into my self-development journey. And it basically means that whatever you see in the world is you. And it's hard because at first you're like, what do you mean? I know exactly what I'm looking at. How is that me? And you've got to think of it as that the world is simply a mirror and a reflection of you, because even if you look up right now to whatever it is that you're looking at, that is simply a reflection of what your mind is programmed to pick up in every single situation and scenario. So when you're having a conversation with a person, you're perceiving that conversation with that person in any specific way. It doesn't, and then someone else could talk to that exact same person and have the exact same perception, or a completely different perception. So it's whatever your perception is of anything that happens in life is 100% your responsibility. So your emotions on a day-to-day basis, the way you carry out your work, the way that you do anything is completely up to you to change it. And if you know that there's something better than you can do about everything that is going on in your life, then the only person who can change it is up to you. And it's about being at cause of your life. So yeah, that's pretty much the core of everything I do right now. And can really see it just evolving from here. So that's the core. Podcast done.
Man, that's amazing, man. And look, and I experienced that within my own life, right? And if I was to explain that for myself, I can be in this room right now, right? And there's a million, let's just say there's 100,000 things in this room. And what you're saying from that perception, I might only see 5, 6, 10, a handful, depending on the person, right?
Exactly.
And there's one thing I'm focusing on. Now, someone else in that exact same position, exact same environment, looking within the same room, it may be potentially focusing on something else. And just because it's right in front of us, right, doesn't mean we're going to focus on it. Someone could be focused out of the corner eye at something over here or there, and that I get that. That's what I saw. I get that for myself personally, right? That reflection for yourself is you're going to see, that old thing, you buy a car, what do you see on the road? A million of them.
100% reticular activating system, that's exactly right. And it's just a great entry point for people to get into self-development, because it's it's the first bit of consciousness that can really help you look at the world. Because if you're not conscious, you just think the world is the way it is. It's like some people are like this and some people are like this. It's before you have a choice. And then you realize that you are only seeing everything that you are seeing. And it's like, oh, I can change that. So that's why I like a part of my thing is like, I just want to like help people start the journey of consciousness, because I feel like once you start, it's like this web of a million different options open up, and you can really go wherever you want. And people are naturally going to go in different directions. There's no one stream to go down, but it's like, it's a great introductory point, you know?
Definitely. And if you're going to speak to the guys listening, mate, or watching this, if they were to say to you, okay, well, how do I start my journey on this perspective? You know, how do I start understanding what I'm looking at and, you know, my interpretation of what I'm looking at? What would be some key tips you'd be able to say to them?
100%. I'd say get out a piece of paper and write down people that you see every day what do you hate about other people? What do you not like about other people? I'd say write a massive list and just go, I hate how the coffee people, when they serve me their coffee, they don't smile at me. Or I hate how this person does this, or I hate how my mum does that, or my brother does this, or my girlfriend does this, or my boyfriend does that. I'd say write it all down. And then when you get to the bottom of the list, you have a deep look at it and you go, okay, that's that. And then you're going to look at it and go, hey, that's me. And you say, that is me. Because the only reason you are perceiving those things is because you are vibrating energetically on the exact same level that they are giving them off. Because you have no idea what's going on in their life. You have no idea that that's intentionally what they're trying to do. You are perceiving what you are projecting. It's like you're projecting it out, and that's exactly what you're getting back in return. And people want to point and pick and poke the blame and everything like that. And it's like, once you clear up the projection inside yourself of that very instance, you stop seeing it in other people. It's weird that it instantly heals. And it doesn't mean it's not there anymore for someone else. It's just not there for you. And you are the most important person in your life. You have to live that way. You know what I mean? From a context of, if you can handle and clear your container, you're going to go out into the world and have like whatever impact and, you know, it's all the influence that you want. However, if you can't clear up your own bullshit, like you're just going to keep seeing the same bullshit over and over again. So I would say write a list and then get brutally honest with yourself, and then ask yourself, where am I not smiling when I'm giving out coffee? Or where am I not doing what I am seeing?
100%, man. And that's what I was sort of thinking myself, is like that moment, like if you look at that list, it doesn't mean you're not smiling at that coffee person, but where aren't you smiling at someone else in your life?
Exactly.
Yeah, that's it, brother. Like it gets to that point where you go, well, okay, but I smiled at that coffee person. They didn't smile at me. Okay, well, where in your life may someone else have that experience with you where you're not smiling at them? Yeah,
exactly, bro. Like, oh, my girlfriend never listens to me. It's like, okay, where are you not listening to yourself in your own life? Like, I hate how my mum always gets mad at me for not doing this task. It's like, where are you mad at yourself for not doing that task? Because they're only a reflection of you. So somewhere deep inside of you, you're feeling that emotion of what you're not doing. And then it's coming out through someone else. And you're saying it's them. It's fucking you. It's you. And you're perceiving it. And you're like, oh, it's them. It's not them. It's fucking you. Everything is you. Everything.
Yeah.
So it's like it's a big responsibility piece.
It is, hey, and we just sort of spoke about that a couple of seconds ago when we're chatting off record, and we, you know, about that responsibility, right? And coming to that point in our lives where, you know, we need to own our own shit. You know, you hear it all the time: own your own shit and take responsibility and blah 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 blah. But when you can truly look at yourself and honestly, from here, talk to yourself and say, well, that is something I'm doing or not doing. Well, the fact that you're saying you're doing it or not doing it, where does that come from, right? Like,
yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
exactly. No, I totally get that. 100%.
But that responsibility, I think, is huge. As you said, it's like one of those things where until we start looking at ourselves and really have a deep, dark look at ourselves, and, you know, we say this dark side, you know, there's all the explanations out there of the dark side or the inner child or all these other aspects. But all they are is aspects of getting to know ourselves on the deepest levels, right?
Mm-hmm.
Of getting to know who we are from potentially a wounded child, an inner child, the perspective of the dark side of us, or the shadow side, or all these other aspects. They're all layers, or again, projections, right, of allowing us to experience those things of ourselves to be able to truly get to know ourselves on a deeper level.
Yeah, for sure. And it helps a lot as well. Like, obviously you and myself, we've read a lot of books and we've done a lot of self-development, and we understand like the deeper spiritual meanings and archetypes behind these things. So it's like easy for us to understand. So like, I'm even thinking right now, for anyone who's listening, it's like a really good tool would be to start looking at specific books and texts that help you understand what it is to like actually be like, oh, where does this part of me come from? Because you're going to notice that like it's not just in you, it's also in other people, and you see it out there a lot. You know what I mean? Like, if it wasn't in everyone, then no one would be talking about it because it'd be so individual. But it's not, like it's collective. A book that I'm reading at the moment, especially something that's great for men, is King, Warrior, Magician, Lover. It's just sitting over there, and it basically talks about like the shadow of a human, and when we say shadow, I'm sure a lot of your viewers probably know exactly what that is, but like shadow refers to like the dark sides of yourself. So there's a light and there's a dark, and they're not separate. They're actually on the same continuum, and you float between them too. And clearing the container is all about removing and understanding the dark side, so you can sit and work in the light even more. You can sit on the higher side. And it's just like a huge part of becoming like integrated, like an integrated person. And once you sort of start to understand that, and you can look at what type of behaviors, symbolize the dark and what type of behaviors symbolize the light, then you can just start modeling it and practicing it and start going, where in my childhood or where in my lifetime did I pick up these bad beliefs or these bad behaviors, so you can move towards the one that you want. I find that being something super useful. That's for myself.
Yeah, 100%, man. And that's look, it's a key thing, right? And for me personally, with my own journey, I don't know about you, Cato, but I came to a point like, I'm 40 now, and I came to a point like within my 30s where I was doing the exploration, and I was out there looking and researching and, reading the books and all these different people out there, and listening to, going to the mentors and coaches and doing the stuff. But what I found was there's so much out there, so many different points of views, perspectives, understandings, options, possibilities. And that's where I think, I've spoken about it in earlier episodes, that discernment of finding, because we are all different, right? No, I wouldn't say any of them good or bad or whatever. They're options, they're opportunities, they're different ways to view things and experience things. But how did you find for yourself? Like, how did you come to the point yourself and go, this feels right for me. I'm going to go down this road.
Fucking oath, that resonates so much, man. Because like, I just remember when I first started getting into it, that you see, and I know what you mean, you see 50 million things. You're like, what the fuck? I can choose any one of these things. And you don't even want to, because as soon as you jump into one, you're like, but that one, but that one, but that one. Okay, so you got to look at it as if you're at the base of a funnel, and you're looking up at all these options, and you're like, holy shit, where do I go? What do I choose? What do I embark on? And I think people get the shiny object syndrome. And the reason I think people get shiny object syndrome is because they don't build fucking foundations. They don't. And that's the most important thing, because when you build the foundations and you build the first like fundamental points of like your character, and like really simply like fundamentals of what you need to just like physically be here, like in the 3D, take care of your health, take care of your fitness, then you can start working on your mindset. Then you can start stepping out into the other realms of self-development. Because if you've been fractured and you've been depressed for a long time, or you've come out of a psychosis, or you come out of a really difficult situation in your life, and all of a sudden you're just like, oh, I found self-development. Oh yeah, cool. I'm going to go and do a $4,000. It's like, if you get into the wrong thing, like it's not going to help. Like, you've just basically given a whole bunch of information you can't integrate. That's why it's always take it back to basics, like literally to just sleeping properly, getting a good routine, eating healthy, taking care of your body, grounding yourself, meditating, getting back in a nice, healthy environment. Once you're back in that spot, cool, my bedroom's nice, I live in a nice place with good people, great, awesome. It will naturally start happening. The universe wants you to have what you want for yourself, and it's a massive trust piece. If you keep working on yourself and the things that you know you need to work on over time, it's going to happen. And it was difficult for me, and I believe that it's difficult for a lot of people in my generation, potentially, I'm sure probably in your generation too, because it's so like, I want it now, I want it now, I want it now, I want it now, I want it now. And there's a massive patience game that you have to play. So bro, like for me, I went through a couple years of being like, I want it now, I want to do this, I want to do that, I want to do this, I want to do that, until it got to a point where my business partner, he's a bit older than me, he's 26, and he's done a whole bunch of stuff, and he is very focused and very driven, and he knows what he wants. And the more time I could spend around that, and it wasn't about wanting the same thing that he wanted, it was about understanding that he's done the work and he knows what he wants, and what does he do to know what he wants. And he would focus on the basics. He'd just get his nutrition right, get his health right, get those things right. And then the flow and effect would come from that. And it's like, oh, all of a sudden, I know who I want to hang around. I know the type of things I want to be learning. I know the exact specific thing I want to be learning, and see how it goes from this. And then it comes in again and you start getting focused again. So at first you're like here and it's wide, and then you've explored both sides because you have the foundations now. Because it's like, I know that I'm not going to fall. I'm actually at the level where I can explore both sides. I hit both sides until it comes up again, and I just go in a straight line. So it really is a thing of self-development. For me, like I said, man, a lot of it was just going to the fucking exercise 4 or 5 times a week, and eating good food, and moving out of home, and getting an environment and hanging around people I wanted to hang around. And it was just a lot of learning and absorbing. So yeah, my journey, you do have to be patient, and don't rush the process. Just be patient and trust that the law of resonance. So it's different to the law of attraction. Law of attraction is like how to attract things, and you've got to vibrate in a certain level. Law of resonance is more so about what resonates with you also wants you. So what you want wants you back. And it's just about, I use a lot of visualization and stuff like that, but yeah, essentially it's about being comfortable being at the foundation. Like you've got to be happy and build the foundations. Then you can trust that what is meant for you will come, but build the foundations first. It's like, fuck, I used to love playing Pokemon, and you don't go from level 1 to level 15 in one battle. It's like you've got to work your way up there, and naturally it'll just go. You've just got to level up. Don't skip, or you can't skip. You can try, but it's not going to work. You can't skip the steps.
Yeah, that's it. And if we use the same sort of analogy, look, not that I'm a gamer, but my sons are, like, you can skip and you can hack and you can do all these things, but eventually you're going to get kicked off the server, right? They're going to get kicked off. They're going to go, bro, that dude's busted. Get back to the start. See you later.
100%.
Yeah.
So true. So true.
And that's something, I sort of think to myself too, like, all that stuff you were saying, and it was similar to myself, right? With my exploration, what I suppose would be different is, where I came from was really starting to look after my mind more before my body, right? Like I came from special forces training background and all that sort of stuff. So like at one point I was really physical, then I went through a journey, put on heaps of weight, blah, 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 blah. But anyway, long story short, that mental stuff, or coming to that point of, trying something like, to be honest with you, my wife dragged me to a yoga class, right? That I resisted and I eventually gave in and said yes. Now that for me was that little bit of a turning point. Now, does that mean that, I'm now a full-blown yogi? No, it doesn't. But that experience allowed me to have that moment to be able to go, okay, I noticed something here. What was that?
Yeah, bro.
Yeah.
100%. I think that's what a lot of people think is like, just because you do one thing does not mean you have to stick to it. There's no like, oh, geez, I'm out of school, I guess I got to go to uni and stick to this. Nah, just like build the foundations and then just try everything. Like you went to a yoga class and you might be really into fitness right now. You know what I mean? Like I'll think of another example. Some people get into meditating and then they find breath work and fall in love with breath work and do breath work instead or something like that. Or some people start on tennis and end up in basketball, you know, like,
exactly.
But it had to do with playing a sport to start with. So it's really chunked up, like, you know, be happy. Cool. What do you do to be happy? I exercise. Cool. What type of exercise? Sports in teams. Cool. What type of sports? Well, I really like ball sports. And then it just comes in until you find exactly what you love. And it's just a process. You know what I mean? Because I went from happy and the first chunk down was exercising. Someone else's happy could be, you know, oh, I love arts and craft, you know? So it's like, you have this infinite web and it's just like trusting that. I think a lot of people go, I don't know what I want. And it's like, you fucking do. But when you think of what you don't, you think, oh, exactly what I want. Like you're comparing yourself to someone who is doing like so caught up in mission and just like living this life of they're in the spot. They've done all the work to get to this streamlined position, this streamlined mission, which is a very masculine thing. You know what I mean? So a lot of the time when people are like, oh, I don't know what I want, and I'm talking about mission and drive here, it's like a very masculine thing. So yeah, it's this very masculine thing. So what you actually want, what's the very next thing that you want? What's the next step? And that's what you got to focus on. That's it. That's the priority. And then you'll know when it's time to branch it in and branch it in and branch it in and branch it in. Then you get really good at that. That's when manifesting starts happening. Because when you know what you want and you can see it so clearly, bro, you just fucking attract and manifest everything into your life. Everything. Relationships, business, money, friends, you know, like health, everything, because you know what you want, and it's powerful.
It's so like, it's really cool, isn't it? Like, you know, I mean, a lot of people think it's a bit airy fairy, this manifesting and whatever. And look, call it what you want, guys. You know, speak about how you want. But I've expected, you know, I've experienced that stuff myself, man, in the sense that when I was able to get to a point in my life that I was allowed myself to feel, I use the word vulnerable a lot, but I was allowed myself to feel free, feel safe, feel in this situation, and knowing, like I came to a knowing that I was going to be okay, right? Yeah. Once I was able to get to that point, things started happening. Now, people can call it coincidence, they can call it flow, they can call it whatever. Yeah. Look, my personal, I say it here and there. I love the kittens and the rainbows, and I believe in a lot of that stuff, right? Yeah. I really do. There's a lot of people out there that don't. But whatever you call it, however you see it, if you see things that are happening in your life that are flowing, and you're finding that happiness and that next step that allows you to do it and find it more, call it what you want. Something's happening, right? Something's changing. But, you know, something's attracting to you. Something, you know, there's a shift from, you can see a definite shift from that you saw not to be comfortable, or not to be ideal, or not to be right for you, to things are getting easier. Mm-hmm. Why? Mm. What's the difference, right?
Yeah, bro. Like, yeah. Oh well, man. It's like think of it this way. Like, go and try and do 100-question test and be real shitty mood, and then go and try and do a 100-question test when you're in the best mood of your life, and I guarantee you'll get different results. You get way better results. You've allowed certain things and parts of your unconscious mind to open up and get you the things that you want. You know what I mean? So it's like, I'll give you the best example of manifesting, and people will be like, that's not it. It's like, well, you know what? Eat one, because I'm going to pick up this cup right next to me. I just picked it up. I just manifested this cup in my hand because I said that I wanted it. How does someone make $1 billion business? How does Elon Musk build a rocket that he flies to the moon and flies back and in and out of space and does all this stuff? It doesn't just magically happen. Manifesting, people think, oh, it's magical woo-woo bullshit. Bro, there's science to it. Yeah, you know exactly. What I mean? Like, you think about it over and over again. You ask for what you want. You vibrate and lift yourself to the same thoughts and emotions at that level. Even if you just close your eyes for a second and you think about what you want. It could be driving a car or a motorbike, or having a certain type of body, or being in a certain type of relationship, and the feelings that come up. It's like, that makes you feel good. It makes you feel good. Okay, great. Your brain is associating every time you think of that thing to feeling good. You open your eyes, you go back to normal. Okay, your brain just had a hit of up here. It wants to go back there. It's like, give me that again. Great, you just created a manifesting pathway. Guess what happens when you do that 3, 4, 5, 20 times a day? You're going to manifest shit pretty quickly. And you're not only going to do that, you're going to live a lot of a happier life. You're going to be a lot more mission focused and driven. And you know what you want.
Yeah.
Because you just thought of something when you could have thought of a million other things. You know what you want.
Totally, man. And yeah, that's, you know, it's really important. I love you brought up Elon, right? I was listening to a podcast with him and Joe Rogan a little while ago, right?
Oh, bro.
Yeah, and I was listening to his you know, him talking about his rockets, right? And his rocket that he's sending out, and you know, and he's made it this certain shape because of a movie that he liked, right? Like, bro, I think it was Spaceballs or something like that, right? And now people look at this, like, there's a lot of people that find him really eccentric or don't like him, whatever. It doesn't matter. The difference is that someone that can be, if you think he's eccentric or amazing or brilliant or whatever, if someone is able to go to that length of sending an aircraft to another, to, you know, outer space, you know, to the point where he can design the shape to whatever he wants, you got to give the guy some credit, right? You got to give the guy some sort of credit, however you look at him, whatever you think about him, and go, what allows him to do that, right?
Yeah, hard.
Now, when I was listening to him speak to Joe, that man has a lot of belief in everything he says, right?
Exactly.
A lot of belief in everything he says. And he also really doesn't see a limitation. Like, he does. He talks scientifically about, you know, physics and this and that. And obviously, because he's very scientific background, but he won't, I don't hear him often say a definite. It's like, because, so, you know, someone might say, oh, well, why can't we just, you know, this is a really silly example. Why can't we just moonwalk to the moon, right? And you know, he'll give you all the physics and the science behind it, and then but then he'll also pause and go, and you'll see his brain, like, I can't see him physically, but I can almost see in my mind his brain's ticking, right? And he's like, maybe, you know what I mean? Like, he's got that type of personality.
Bro, fucking love that. I love that because, like, you know the quote, what's it called? Who's Apple guy? Steve Jobs. He's like, the quote, and he's like, those people who are crazy enough to think they can change the world actually do. And it's like the very belief, like, you know, when you're a kid and it's like even though you just said like moonwalking to the moon, I even just, like, when you said that, I imagined him sitting there thinking of some guy just moonwalking to the moon. You know what I mean? Like, and it's like, if you've got the imagination to think of that, you can do it. And Esther Hicks and all these other people who talk about manifesting and attraction, it's like Bob Proctor. He said, if you can hold it in your head, you can hold it in your hand. Like, think about millions of years ago, not millions, even thousands of years ago, when we invented the plow to pull dirt through the sand, to pull just to, you know, plow the ground. Imagine if they had seen like a car. They'd be like, how did we do this? You know, it'd be the craziest thing. That's why it's like anything is possible. Like, and this is just talking about the physical as well, because there's the majority of society is still caught up in the 3D. You know, very much so in the, what you see is what you get. It's just all this meat, flesh and bones, and, you know, you die. It's like, nah, bro, like, there's so much more going on here that you can't even understand. What the fuck is Wi-Fi?
I know, right?
Like,
cloud storage. We got no clouds. Where's our storage?
Yeah, bro. Like, what the hell? You know? So it's like this consciousness is just, oh man, it just makes you excited. It's like, think about how a projector works on a TV. Like, you just can project an image straight up onto the wall. You know, it's like, no, the majority, 99.999% of people on the planet don't know how the fuck that works, and we just accept it. And you want to say that there's like nothing else out there, or we're just in the physical. It's like, nah, there's so much more.
Yeah, I love it. I love that you say that, man, because I was having this discussion myself a little, and we, like you said, you go back to the plow, and I sort of say like modern science and technology today. If you were to put that back then, they think you're an alien or some freak or time traveler or whatever the scenario is. If you were just to go one day, wake up and go, okay, now we've got electricity, or now we've got this, or now we've got that. Now, even in the day, right, that those were invented. At some point, they were a theory. At some point, they were someone's idea or someone's, that was able to become reality.
Yeah.
But at the time, it was that woo-woo stuff, right? People are like, what? Electricity? What's this crap? Like, mate, I'm sticking to my oil burner. You can stick electricity up your jumper, like, you know what I mean? And this is where I kind of say that same thing. Like, how could we say there's definite anything, right? Like, I'm not naive to think that science doesn't have a lot of backing, a lot of studies, and a lot of whatever. But science evolves too. Now, to say anything's definite, to me, I just personally can't logically see how we can come to that conclusion after generation after evolving after all the stuff that we're doing. How do you come to a point of saying, well, everything's definite?
I just think like, even in the constructs, if you can construct it in your mind, it's already made. Like, just because it doesn't physically exist, it's like, that doesn't mean it's not real or not possible. Like, you can say that this thing in my mind, maybe within the constructs of our 3D reality, it's like, well, what I have in this image in my head doesn't exist, and I don't know how to do it, but that doesn't mean it's not a definite, because I just created the image of it in my head and I can understand how it works. It's like, maybe I can't bring it into this physical thing. Maybe I can't do it right now, but I'm not going to limit myself and say that it's not possible, because perception is projection. Where else in your life are you saying that shit's not possible?
Yeah, man.
You know what I mean? Like, that's your belief that you'll have. And if you project that onto other people, or you project that onto yourself, then you'll be limited, because the people who go and do the crazy shit in the world, they just don't have limits. And maybe they definitely have a lot less. And I'm not going to say they don't, but if I imagine that they don't, then I tell you what, they don't either. You know what I mean? Like, it's a paradox.
That's right.
It's a paradox.
It is, man. It is. And, some of the most brilliant minds in the world might have had something that someone else would see as a limitation, right? But the point is, as you were saying, that at some point, look, again, I'm not a scientist, don't claim to be, but at some point, these people that have been able to bring these technologies and experiences and understandings into our lives, it was here at some point.
Yeah.
It was a thought, whether it was an educated one or one that was done through, an hypothesis or, something that they were studying, or even if they stumbled upon. The point to be able to come and bring it to reality in the physical, there was at some point that idea popped in the head, or was here before it was here, right? In what we call the physical. How many people at that time would have looked at those people going, you're off your chops, mate.
Yeah, 100%. And I think it's just as well, it's like, that's just consciousness as well. But like, you know what I mean? It's like, when there were, like, I just think in 100 years time, the level of consciousness that we'll be at, like, we'll have powers, bro. Like, look at Reiki, look at people who do Reiki healings and stuff like that. And look at, like, there's people popping up all over the world that are like genuinely getting like psychic abilities and stuff like this. And like, I don't care what anyone else says. It's true. It's happening. We're seeing it, like, that's why I think like in 100 years, there will genuinely be people with powers. Like, it's literally a matter of time. Look at how far we've come. Look at how much our mind has evolved in such a short period of time. And it's not just going to be in our head. We're going to expand this out, and it's going to go through all of our bodies. And with technology at the same time, it's like, we're going to be able to put people together, bro. Like, it's just, weird shit's going to start happening. Like, real weird shit's going to start happening. And I want to be around to see it. I want to see it. I'm keen as to see it. I'd love to live for a couple 100 years.
That's funny. It's funny you say that, man. I say to my family and friends all the time, "Oh yeah, I'm living at 200, man. I'm living at 200."
Bro, I reckon it's going to happen. There's this Vishen Lakhiani reckons he's on track for 180. He's 44 now, and he reckons at the rate that his biological age, I reckon, to be like less than 30 or something. He's like 44, and he reckons that the medical industry is going to advance so far, and it's going to be actually so healing. And I'm not talking pharmaceutical stuff, that like people's lifespans are just going to be able to extend and extend and extend.
Yeah, totally, man. And look, there'll be a lot of people out there going, "Oh yeah, whatever, this is all crack." Well, you know what? I'm with you, man. I'm actually not going to put a limitation on anything, and all I'm going to do, I kind of say to people all the time, all I can personally truly understand, and if I want to say no for myself, is that I've experienced, right? That I've experienced within, my own physical, within my own mind, within my own, senses. I can only truly know that from my own perspective of my own awareness, my own knowledge, my own whatever, because anything else is either, it's someone else's perspective, someone else's understanding, someone else's. That doesn't make any of them bad or good. But even in those moments, we only take what we need, or what resonates with us, or what's right for us, or you're not taking the whole perspective and that person's whole perspective or knowledge in that moment, are we?
That's the thing as well. Like sometimes I even like to think it's like, even when we say, oh, we take that bit of information, it's like, how much of it are we actually taking, and how much of it is just resonating and filling in a puzzle piece that we can't even control? Like,
yeah, I love that explanation. Yeah, totally.
It's like this domino effect. Like sometimes I even think, like, in terms of destiny, like when you push dominoes over, that the end domino is going to fall if they're all connected properly, you know what I mean? And sometimes I just think, like, from the beginning of time to the end of time, what if it's all just dominoes, and whatever's going to happen is going to happen anyway? And we're given this conscious perception of like, oh yeah, we know what's going on, but it's like we can't see the future. You know what I mean? Like it's a big out, bro. And even when I think about like beings on like higher dimensions and stuff like that, I just think like, what if they knew, or are they able to transcend? Or maybe they can transcend our levels, but they still can't transcend the levels above them. And even the being that can transcend the highest level, it still has a span. Like it still has a beginning and an end. It's like the biggest, such a wig out. But I love thinking about this stuff. And I love how the conversations go down this road, like just from talking about something so simple as well.
Yeah, look, and you know what, I love it too, man, because what I've come to, what people believe or whatever, that's fine. What's reality, what isn't? Because, and I'm actually going to bring that up. What is reality and what isn't? Well, reality for us in the moment is what we are able to be consciously aware of in that moment, in that time, through our knowledge and experience. Now, we hear it all the time within the development in the industry, and in coaching and everything else, and so on and so forth. The stuff that we don't know is the stuff that we want to know, right? The stuff we don't know is the stuff that we actually want to know, to be able to move past or transcend or move beyond or grow or up level, or how we want to say it, past our current experiences. How do we get to know stuff we don't know if we don't explore or try things or experience new things or have discussions that we may challenge our current beliefs or understandings or whatever, right? How do we move past our current reality of what we call our reality? How do we move beyond that if we don't try something new or look or explore for stuff? Because that's how we truly find potentially the stuff we don't know, right? Is if we're open enough to explore different perspectives and understandings and possibilities. How's that been for you, man?
I just like you said, you just try new stuff, and it's like getting the cliche, get comfortable with being uncomfortable. And I think like if you just keep pushing and you just keep trying, and all the stuff that is unfamiliar is uncomfortable because it's unfamiliar. Like even when it comes down to like certain brain chemistry in your head, it's like your body and your brain is so used to certain things that give you a certain chemical signature. Like we're so routinized that we love staying within the confinements of that routine, and this chemical signature that the routine gives us, stepping outside of that is uncomfortable. But outside of that, we get a new signature, new learnings, new everything. But like to go a bit deeper, personal development and listening to people that I like, people that are doing stuff that I'm not, because they have knowledge that I don't. Like, that's the simplest thing. Like, place yourself in environments that you've never been in before. And like, it could be a physical environment. It could just be talking to people. Personally, I believe the best way to do that first is to go into like, listen to people who are doing things that you want to do that you don't understand. So like self-development and things like that, listening to mentors, finding mentors, and you're like, I don't understand how to do that, but I want to learn. You know what I mean? So, but even that's still like, you know, it's there, but you don't know how to do it. But when it comes to like stuff that you don't know, psychedelics. I say psychedelics, man, like, because you just start being like, whoa, I never knew that existed. Yes, you can find that in self-development a lot of the time, because it's like, you think when you find a mentor, you're like, oh, I'm going to get this from them. And then they teach you something completely different. Because like, if you're going into a mentor meeting, or you're not a meeting, like if you're going in to learn from a mentor thinking, oh, this is what I'm going to get from it, you wouldn't need a mentor in the first place, because you'd already know what you were going to get. So they always give you something that you didn't know at all, which is cool. But yeah, psychedelics, man, like psychedelics, like people can do what they want, you know, because obviously you can't give advice and say, go and do that. However, yeah, specific psychedelics, and this is where people can reach out to either yourself or me, but like, if you want to expand your consciousness, and it's funny this as well, because it's like, when you use a plant medicine and you work with it, it's just, you've got something that you're putting within you. So it's still all you. So it's like, even though you say you didn't know it, your body and your spirit and your soul still knew it. It was just subconscious and unconscious. So it's just stuff that you've never like had in the conscious part of your mind come up and come through. So it's like, is it really that you didn't know it, or is it really that you didn't just consciously know it? So I love that sort of stuff as well. And it's the same thing with mentors. So it's like, how do you ever, it's like, what you don't know, you don't know. Do you ever really truly not know it, or is it ever just really truly not consciously knowing of it? Yeah. It's a paradox, hey, like it's a wig out.
Yeah, look, it is, man. But you know what? I actually, you know, I think that's what it is for me too, honestly. Like, in the sense that, you know, the stuff we don't know. Well, okay, yeah, we might not might not believe that we know it in the sense that we, you know, it's in our conscious awareness or our current reality or whatever the scenario is. But definitely, like, I don't know, me personally, anything I begin to know, it's like I've always known it. Like, it's anything I truly resonates with me, and I come to a point of going, okay, I think I know this now. This is really confident. I'm really confident in this, or I'm really whatever. It comes to that point in your life where it's like, I don't know. Like, I think I've kind of already always known this, you know, or you're so comfortable with it in a point that it's like, shit, this feels like home, or it just feels like a part of me, or it feels like totally.
100%. It's like when people have the oneness experience, you know, and it's like, some people have had it, some people haven't, but when you have the oneness experience, you realize, oh, I actually am connected and I know it all. Like there's it's all here, you know. You're just in that place of like, okay, and it all comes from you. So it's like, we already have all the answers, and it's just like but when you come back, it's like, it's not like in every single waking moment you can have that at every time.
Yeah.
You know? So it's,
and that's the difference, right? Like, it's, again, that's an understanding or some sort of people's, you know, beliefs or the way they perceive it, right? This all knowing is like, it's all going to have to be in our awareness right there and then, and it's, you know, consciously there, you know, everything in the universe is consciously in it, you know, consciously in our reality and awareness at the time. Well, that's, you know, if I'm honest, that's probably, I don't think that really was my awareness, but I kind of, you know, I joke about people, and I sort of say it a fair bit. When I first got into this, you know, personal development and, you know, journeying for myself, you know, I thought there was some point I was going to sit there cross-legged, you know, in the lotus position, humming and be floating off the ground, right? But it got to a point where I think you said, like, it's almost, you know, there's so many analogies out there, but it's almost like having an infinite filing cabinet, and you can scroll through whatever you need to find whatever you need at some point in your life. that you're really going to, that you're ready to, I suppose, bring that into your current reality, right? Or you're ready to experience. And even with the psychedelics you're talking about, like there's a lot of people out there have their opinions about it, and that's fine and whatever. But even, you know, even within the people that I've worked with and people that I truly love, I've had discussions with him in the sense of, like we kind of talk about everything in moderation, right? And having things but all that sort of crap aside, what I found with, you know, some of the psychedelic, anything can be abused, in my opinion, right? Anything can be abused, where alcohol, be it fitness, be it, you know, health foods, be it junk food, be it psychedelics, be it recreational drugs. I think anything can be abused in the sense that we rely on it, or it becomes something that we can't potentially live without or whatever. And what I found with the psychedelics, from, you know, the things that I've tried personally, integration's huge, right? And integration, blah, blah, blah. Okay, let's just say giving yourself time to absorb or swallow or, you know, try and process what it is you experienced, right? To be able to actually bring that into your life or your experience, or having a true understanding of it. Because I don't know about you personally, but some things I've experienced, you can go through and it's like, boom. Like, it's almost like it's so huge. All these things are happening. But when you come back to, you know, here in this, what we call the physical existence, it's not necessarily there moment for moment, second for second. And even, you know what I mean? So
no, not at all.
Being able to process that, how have you found, like, for yourself within that you've been able to come to that point of really processing that stuff?
At first, I remember every time it's like, oh my God, I've got the secrets to the universe. I know everything. And then I'd come back down and I was like, I can't remember any of it. And then, like, as I've gone on and I've done it more and more, it's like the same answers just keep coming back. And it's like, if I just trust that they're all there and they'll be there whenever I need them, that I don't have to ever worry about it. But it's like, if I just trust that they're always going to be there, then they're always going to be there. Yeah. It's always fine. Like, maybe I can't access them, but it's like, why would I need to access all of it right now in every single moment? You know what I mean? Like, my soul's journey and my soul's purpose clearly doesn't need that right now. Maybe it needs something else. And it's just a trust thing. It's just like, whatever's supposed to happen is supposed to happen. And what's the point in worrying about it, and just live happy, and, you know, there's no stress. It's like, would the answers to the universe while you're like sitting there, like making your breakfast, really help you that much right now? Like yes, they came to you during the trip or this experience or whatever, and it's useful to know that there is that oneness, but it's like, you were born into this world with a contract, and we're getting deep now, but like, I'm pretty sure that contract wasn't to feel the oneness the whole entire time. However, it was pretty cool to try and experience that. Like, can you imagine being a rat, and then a rat has, like, a few times throughout its life this like mad expansion of consciousness of being like, whoa, what the and then going back down to being a rat, and it's just being a rat again. You know, like, who knows if they have those experiences or not.
Yeah. Like, look, totally, man. That's amazing. And like, I kind of like, I picture it like when people talk about consciousness and knowing everything and all knowing and all this, like I've become so comfortable, like my arrogance of, you know, some of my past and whatever, like I was so black and white, and it was just like, you know, whatever I knew, and you couldn't tell me any different, and rah, 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 and, you know, that was just me back then. But I kind of laugh at it now. Like, I'm so comfortable now. You know, does that mean I never have moments? Of course I do. But I believe I'm really comfortable now compared to where I was, of being in a place of knowing I know sweet fuck all. Like, you know, in the expansion of the universe, in this reality I'm experiencing right now, I'm okay with knowing that I don't know everything.
Yeah, for sure. And you never will, like, in every, like, you just, like, if we were supposed to, we would. But, like, what we know right now could be everything to what a lesser thing or lesser being knows. You know what I mean? Like, when you're 5 years old, if you knew this when you were 5 years old, you might say this is everything. You know what I mean? Like, there's not, like, who knows the scale? And it's like, who's to say that when we have this experience of oneness that we really do experience that all? And who's not to say that, like, there's a higher level being that just experiences that like on the daily.
Yeah.
Like that's their baseline or something like that. You know what I mean? Like
I do know what you're saying, man. And that's the great thing about, you know, being able to think and, you know, we won't, like, again, until I can experience through my senses, through my whatever, I can't say that anything's real or not, right? But what I love now is coming to the point of understanding that I'm okay, that there's a possibility something could be possible, you know, and something that, you know, like we talk of higher beings, we talk of angels and gods and other aspects and Buddhas and deities and all sorts of things. We speak of these things within our society, and, you know, and there's other, you know, there's people speak of higher beings that we would call alien or whatever. We speak of higher awarenesses and understandings and however we go about this. But what I find is interesting is when you have an experience for yourself, personal experience for yourself that you can't necessarily explain in the moment, as you said, like that experience of oneness, right? When you have an experience of that you have physically for yourself and mentally and everything else and consciously and whatever, you know, whether that's through the means of a religious sense or not, or, you know, mentality or science or however you want to do it, or you know, sport or whatever, when you have an experience for yourself of that connectiveness that is beyond what you experience on day to day, how can you ignore that there's something else out there? Now, you know, there may be people out there say, oh yeah, but there's your chemicals in your brain that cause this and dopamine and blah, 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 rah, rah, yada, yada, yada. Okay, but it's still an experience. I still had it. It was still something that was able to be measured within my own being, right? Mm. And I kind of, what I find is, sometimes we can quickly ignore some of that stuff, right? Or try and speak down of it, or pretend it doesn't exist. Or why? I don't know. Maybe because
I think it's just because you haven't experienced enough of it. Like if you experience enough of it, fuck, I thought it was stupid one day. Like I thought it was dumb as. I was like, no way. And then you hear it the first time, and then you believe it. Instead of 100% being like, nah, becomes 99%, and then 98%, and then 97%. And then it just keeps going down. And then you hear it enough, and then you have more experiences and more experiences and more experiences. And people might explain, oh, you just think you're having more experiences. And it's like, well, you know what? Maybe I am. But fuck, I'm allowed to believe whatever the hell I want to believe. Mm. And like,
yeah,
you know,
yeah, I love that, man. And yeah, exactly. And that's kind of, you know, and I'm the same, mate. Like I'm going to keep exploring. And you know, I say to my family, I say to friends, you know, I've said it on here a lot, you know, my exploration is not going to, until this physical body gives up, my exploration journey is not going to end, right? You know, it's going to be something of trying to experience new things and understandings, and, you know, and I hope if I don't, and I get caught up in some of those loops again from a different awareness or different, that I get a kick in the ass, or something comes into, it will, right? It'll come into my thing for me to be able to move beyond that or past that, or I mean, we say beyond or past or up, but to be able to have a new experience, right? To be able to go to it, a new understanding for myself personally. And I actually love the concept of there potentially being no definites, and also potentially no limitations, right? And I just love exploring that, wherever that goes, in any direction and any sort of environment. People may think I'm a crackpot, you know, in certain environments. Well, fine. But I know now, in my own experience, my own awareness, today, I don't want to kill myself. Now, if where I am today, call me a crackpot, call me whatever, call me a fantasizer, whatever the things that are out there that people may say, if I can have my personal experience be one that I find joyful and meaningful and amazing, I'm going to keep trying to find more of that, right? I'm going to keep trying to explore more things that are out there. For yourself personally, how have like those that you work with, those that you've been around, how would you explain that exploration of trying to get to know what it is that you well, we kind of discussed it, but really coming to a point of being comfortable in exploring, being comfortable of understanding and
Yeah. To be honest, like I just wouldn't even try now. Like around certain people, I'm just like, I'm not gonna, and like out of love, but like I'm not gonna try to talk to someone about some sort of stuff on my level if they haven't had those similar experiences yet. I might like talk about stuff that's on their level, and I'm always gonna try and nurture and bring things up and expand their awareness and the new things. But like I'm not really going to worry about that. Like a lot of my family probably wouldn't talk about this sort of stuff at all. I can't imagine having deep conversations about that sort of stuff. That's all right. I still love them. The type of people I hang around now are open and would happily have these types of conversations with me. And it's just like, I just change my environment to the type of people that I want to hang around and have these conversations with. So it's like, and bro, like if you judge yourself, you're going to hang around people who judge you.
Yeah.
You know, like it's your projection. So like, that's why when you find an environment that doesn't judge you, it's also a reflection that you're beginning to have less judgment of yourself. So like if you're having a lot of conversations, and when I say you, not just you, anyone, any listener, it's like
totally, man.
You start to have conversations with anyone that's like can judge you and you feel that, it's like it's just your reflection. It's like you're still judging yourself. So I don't really navigate those types of conversations. Like I'm not gonna go home and talk to my parents and family about aliens and stuff like that if I know that it's not going to resonate and vibe with them. It's just not what I'm going to do.
Yeah.
And if that conversation comes up, I'm happy to go there, like to talk about the weird stuff. But it's kind of just like being, I guess, conscious enough to know who I can and can't talk with certain things about, because it's like you might be at level 4 with someone, level 10 with another person. I'm not going to go to the level 4 person with level 8 stuff, you know, like I'm going to just do what I do and talk about what I talk about with that person. And if I don't like the level 4 stuff, then I'm not going to hang around that person.
Yeah.
Just because I just want to have different conversations, not because I don't want that, but because I do want something else.
Yeah, that's massive. Yeah, no, that's massive, man. And I think that's, you know, that's really important in the sense, like, as you were saying, it's because it's really key, right? The environment is really key. If you're having experiences, and we look at this from being the reflection of the mirror and all that sort of stuff, and all these things are happening in your life, while there are experiences out there that, you know, because there'll be people going, well, you know, I've been assaulted or this or that, and I didn't ask this stuff for myself, or, you know, and there's a lot of trauma that people might be going through or been through that say, well, you know, I haven't been asked for that. I don't think that, whatever the scenario is, in the day-to-day stuff, and those that haven't been through massive trauma, I would say that, and look, even for myself personally, who had been through a fair bit of trauma, if I'm completely honest, and I'm just going to come out there and say it, the shit that I was experiencing and the stuff that I was experiencing in my day-to-day was exactly that. Still was me not being able to see myself the way I needed to see myself, to be in the environment I needed to be in, to have the experiences I need to experience. And as someone that's in trauma may hear this and say it's a load of fucking bullshit, that's fine. That's fine. But for me personally, who has been through that, through my own journey, through my own awareness, through my own experiences, through what would be classified as diagnoses of PTSD and so on and so forth, now where I am is from the awareness that I have about myself and the truth that I can still talk about myself. It's certainly been that, right? Like when I look back on me in those darkest days, the stuff that was going on in the head, the stuff that was going round and round, the thoughts, the feelings, the thinking, the beliefs, the perceptions, all fed the life that I was having and experiencing, the reality I was experiencing. And I think, as you said, the more we can surround ourselves in what we want, where we want to move forward, where we want to go, those type of people, that type of environment, seeking out those coaches and whatever, it's just been, totally different, right?
Yeah, 100%. It's a pretty, I'm not going to say you've got to work your way up to it for sure, but yeah, 100%. Yeah, environment is everything. Environment is stronger than willpower, always.
Yeah.
Always.
Yeah. And is there anything specific that you'd like to say to the guys, mate, in regards to, the stuff that you do, the stuff that you work with people in, and anything that you just feel that, should come out or be spoken about?
Yeah, sure. Can I plug Brotherhood?
Yeah, go for it, man.
Yeah, so Brotherhood is a men's wholeness, with the best men's development on the Gold Coast and Greater. We help young guys anywhere between like 18 years old. We've got people up in their 50s, and we just help men become better men. And we start that off just from the starting foundation points of like physical health, emotional health, guys connecting with guys, getting the right nutrition in the body and things like that. And once you have the laying foundations, then we start diving into the deep work. I'm an NLP practitioner, so neuro-linguistic programming. I work a lot with reprogramming the mind so I can help people essentially find out what they want, what's also holding them back. They can be conscious of that, and then just helping them get more of the results that they really, truly do want in their life. And we do that in Brotherhood. We're just a really awesome bunch of guys making ourselves better and doing awesome shit on the daily, which is sick. Like when you say like anything else I want to leave the guys with, do you mean like
whatever, man, whatever comes to your mind, just put it out there?
Yeah, I would honestly say like that, like if there's any parts of this that are triggering, and there's parts of you, like, have you ever told yourself like, oh, how sick would it be to do this dream? And you have this big, audacious, massive dream. And then there's a little part of you that says, fuck, you can't do that, bro. You just can't. Like it's not possible. That voice, that thing is bullshit. And this is a past projection for me. So this is what I used to believe. And if it's in me, I know it's in other people too. It's fucking bullshit. And you can remove that belief. Like I have literally gone from at some of my dumbest moments, smoking meth out of a light bulb in my bedroom in Brisbane, to running 2 businesses and coaching multiple clients each week, earning a very good amount of money for someone my age. And it's like, I had to remove those limiting beliefs. I had to properly remove those limiting beliefs that I had. And you can do it. You hear it from, listen to any successful person. And I heard it so much, it pissed me off, because I was like, every successful person says you can do it if you just believe in yourself. And I was like, fuck that. And now I'm here saying it. And it's like, it really, really is true. Like you can legitimately do anything if you keep going. If you just keep going, I've got endurance tattoo here. This literally means just that. You just got to keep going. So yeah. If you believe you can or you believe you can't, you're right. Another great quote by Henry Ford.
I love that. Yeah.
What do you want to believe?
Yeah. Love that, man. And, I love what you're doing. I love what you're doing with the, with the men, and, it's something that's a personal passion of mine too, mate, in relation to, working with, we call them masculine men, whatever, working in that space is really, really big for me too. I just think there's got to be can be a lot more love in that area, right? And I think it's amazing what you guys do. So whereabouts you like you don't have to give your address or anything, but whereabouts you're located on the Gold Coast?
Yeah, in Burleigh Heads. So we do outdoor sessions throughout the week, rain, hail, or shine. Doesn't matter if it's shining or if there's a fucking hailstorm, we will be out there. 5:55 Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday. You will either find us at Rudd Park, just across from the Burleigh Pavilion, or you'll find us outside the Burleigh Surf Club on the beach. Monday, beautiful. Wednesday, Friday, Saturday. On Instagram, Brotherhood_Gold Coast. Check out the page and froth the boys.
Yeah, awesome, man. Thanking you. So I've got a final like a 3-part series question here. So if you were to go back in time, man, and spend 30 seconds with yourself, what wisdom would you share with yourself, you're in a warrior to create a life by design, and at what age would that be and why?
I'd probably go back to when I was a little kid living in Africa, and I was having like these crazy hectic dreams about this crazy stuff I wanted to do in the future. And at one specific moment, I was told that something wasn't possible. Just one thing in particular wasn't possible. And if I had 30 seconds, I would go back in time and I would hold myself, and with the biggest smile and like so much love, I'd sit there and I'd tell myself, you can do it. You're going to do it. You're going to have the best life. You're amazing. Like, trust yourself. You're going to do it. You can do anything. You've already done it in the future. You know, I would just be like, you've already done it. You've already done all of it. So just go out there, have fun, do all of it, and just believe and listen. Just, you can do it. Believe yourself. You can do it. Like, if that was it, 30 seconds and I'd be gone. That's all I'd say. You know, I'd just say, you can do it. Just as much belief in 30 seconds as I could possibly give myself, that kid. And I would just give him so much love. That's what I'd give.
That's awesome, man. Thank you so much. And I love what you're doing, Cato. And thank you so much for jumping on here and, you know, giving us so much value with what you're doing and your perspective. And, you know, it's really great to see, you know, again, people talk about age, but it doesn't mean shit to me, but it's great to see you where you're at a point in time where you are, because it's really inspiring for me and for a lot of people out there. So thank you so much, man.
Appreciate that, brother. Thank you.
All right, guys, remember, explore, create, and be. Well, thank you for listening. If you found this episode valuable, please take the time to like, share, and subscribe. It really does make a difference. It helps others out there explore their warrior, create a life of choice by design, and be all that they wish to be. Remember, explore, create, and be.